When you get a trigger point or an ache in a muscle, that muscle has a toxic buildup in it. And when you hold pressure on that area, you hold pressure for 8 to 10 seconds and you release the pressure. That brings in blood flow and it flushes out those things that have been hanging in that knotted up muscle.
It's one all by itself.
So if we want this skin bag or this dirt suit to age in a better biological manner, we have to pay attention to what's at the end of our fork and make sure it's nutrient dense, good, clean, healthy food.
That jurisdiction of the sheriff is really the most powerful guard and protector of the rights of the people than any other institution our founders created here.
Everybody loves a good massage. I get it. We all do. But did you know there are some massive benefits other than just relaxation for massage? I can ask the expert, former massage therapist, doctor now, Michele Sherwood. So tell us about massage. You used to be a massage therapist, huh?
I did. I was a neuromuscular therapist, and I have helped more people heal with my hands than I ever have with my prescription pad.
Whoa. Say that one more time. That's really good. I like that.
I have helped heal more people with my hands than I ever have with my prescription pad.
Man, I wish that statement right there would be on marquees around every single physician's office ever, because the idea that you just said you can heal more people with your hands, just touching somebody. And I mean, that can be metaphorically and also physically. But there is healing in that, isn't there? As opposed to just a management with a pill.
There is, and there's so many benefits to a good, it doesn't have to be a deep tissue massage, but some of the things that massage does is, when you get a trigger point or an ache in a muscle, that muscle has a toxic buildup in it. And when you hold pressure on that area, you hold pressure for 8 to 10 seconds and you release the pressure. That brings in blood flow and it flushes out those things that have been hanging in that knotted up muscle. Also, ligaments and tendons don't have a blood supply. So when a good massage therapist that knows anatomy and knows where the attachments of these things are, works on those areas, it gives those ligaments and tendons a good blood bath so that they can heal. Now, one of the things I find fascinating about the human body is that if you take everything out of the human body and you just leave fascia, that white stuff that's around meat in the markets, that's fascia. If you take everything out and you leave fascia, you will have a holographic image of a person in fascia.
Yep.
Now, I can get to the top of someone's head from touching their toe through that fascial connection. So the snag in the fishnet, someone might have pain in their shoulder, but it's actually a snag that's occurring in the fascia of the foot. So massage therapy done correctly can unwind that snag in the fishnet and rebalance a system that's been out of balance for a very long time.
I think it's fascinating. You talked about two different but also integrated processes. Is straightening out the fascia, which is made of collagen.
Connective tissue.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's like that layer, that holographic image, that little thin barrier of collagen tissue that separates the skin, perhaps from the organs. And so it's just right below there, and it holds everything kind of in place. And all you're doing is straightening that out like maybe tinfoil that's been crinkled, right? Something like that. And then the other part you talked about was increasing the blood flow in areas where there's not blood flow. Key thing, there's healing in the blood. It carries oxygen and hormones and nutrients and peptides. And so if you can restore blood flow to those areas, it gives us an opportunity to get healed. So the question I would ask you as a person who knows about massages, are massages, would you consider necessary for people?
Not 100% necessary, but you take a competitive athlete, for example, who is getting beat up, bruised up, and going through intense competitive athletics on a regular basis. Getting good blood flow, oxygen, and nutrients to the tissues is going to improve the healing process, and it is going to decrease the time to recovery. So they're going to return back to their game quicker, faster, and stronger. We always say you don't want to train a body part when it's still sore. And if they're training every day, the number of days that an athlete spends sore is quite a lot. So massage therapy can be a huge benefit in a professional athlete or just somebody who's trying to take their game to the next level.
Well, and there's different type of massage therapy. I mean, there's sports massage, there's deep tissue massage, there's maybe relaxing massage, Swedish massage, kind of just very high level. Go with the differences.
So, Swedish massage is kind of like just working oil or a lotion into the skin. It's got a rhythmic motion to it and usually a technique that goes from head to toe. Neuromuscular therapy is somebody who's been very educated on anatomy. They're going to apply pressure in certain places that bring blood flow, oxygen, and nutrients into the tissue. They're going to hold pressure for a certain amount of time and then release that pressure. There is also just somebody that does deep tissue massage that they're not necessarily as anatomically trained, but they're going to take maybe their elbow or maybe their fist or their knuckle or their the density of their thumb, and they're going to go over the tissue with a deeper amount of pressure. There are other types of massage that use tools to scrape the fascia, if you will, to bring more blood to the tissue. Sometimes those techniques actually even cause a little bit of bruising, because when that bruises, the theory is that bruising brings in those stem cells, and those stem cells precipitate the healing process.
Well, that makes sense. So there's a bunch of different things. So it's like all people are not created equal. I guess not all massages are created equal, are they?
And not everybody likes a deep tissue massage. Some people prefer a lighter type of a massage. So if you're getting a massage and it's hurting you, you can tell the therapist or the practitioner to lighten up the pressure, or instead of using their elbows, they can go to their thumbs.
Very good. So that is a lot about massage, and obviously you don't do that anymore, but if people give us a call, we could provide a recommendation, I suppose.
Well, and one of the reasons I chose to become an osteopath is that all osteopaths are trained to use their hands to do craniosacral therapy, to do articular release therapies, strain, counter strains, trigger point release. So an osteopathic physician has a toolbox that is a little bit different than an MD, as well as being able to prescribe medications, send you for an X-ray or an MRI if need be.
So there you go. There's healing in them there hands right there, I tell you, honestly. But massage is great. We wouldn't say it's necessary all the time, but it's always good to have that all the time if you choose to be, choose to have that experience. So all you ever want to know about massage. Right, so give us a call. Check out our website, Sherwood.tv, for other subjects just like this.
Did you know you can slow the aging process?
Stay with us and find out how next.
And when you navigate through these economies with people, here's what happens. We want to hold their hand through it, let them know when it's time to buy, sell, reallocate, get out of Dodge, because a lot of times when you're struck with fear does two things. Number one, it can paralyze, and people just put their head in the sand and say, I'm just going to forget about it and hopefully it gets better. Or it causes you to make a wrong decision. And this is why we are here, is to help people navigate through the political quagmire nonsense that's going on, the economic malaise, and the absolute collapse that we're seeing. And when our freedoms are eroding, our political freedoms, our economic freedoms, our personal freedoms, our religious freedoms, our health freedoms, they're all tied together. But you know what doesn't need to erode with that? Our finances.
KirkElliottPhD.com/Sherwood.
There's a lot of talk these days about human enhancement.
Terms like biohacking, bioharmonizing, biosynergizing,
stacking, resilience, and anti-fragility.
In our clinic, the Functional Medical Institute, we've been helping people of all shapes, sizes, and backgrounds improve their quality of their physiology and maximize their lives.
So, you can follow the latest fads and gimmicks and maybe find some things that work for you.
Or you can add Kingdom Fuel to your daily regimen right now.
It's the simple start to a transformed life.
Our unique meal shakes are balanced, low glycemic, rich in fiber with 20 grams of clean protein, essential vitamins and minerals, healthy fats, and organic fruits and vegetables. Kingdom Fuel is vegan with a complete amino acid profile.
No gimmicks, just proven results.
Start today at sherwood.tv/fuel.
Hey there, Kevin Sorbo here. Now, deep down, we know this. We're more than just a brain and a body. We're a spirit, we're a soul, and we're also a physical temple. If you hit the wall when you're trying to improve one aspect of your being, it's probably because, well, other aspects are sabotaging our success. So that's why diets don't work. And frankly, why so much conventional wisdom from our so-called medical establishments falls flat. Doctors Michele and Mark Sherwood have a very different approach. I should know because I happen to be one of their patients. They address the whole person to get to know you, your challenges, and more importantly, what your goals are. Then they offer a complete plan that addresses your unique biology and your heart. They'll help you discover what you need to experience transformation. So find out more at sherwood.tv/sorbo. That's sherwood.tv/sorbo, or see the link before. Now, I'm heading for a workout. You should be going for a workout too. All right, guys. God bless.
We're all aging. We can't stop it. How do we age more gracefully?
That's the question of the day, isn't it? Now, I think people need to first understand there's two ways to measure aging. One is your chronological age, which is really, it's all about
How many
time,
birthdays?
birthdays, calendar dates. That's one way. Okay, great. But really, if you think about it, that has nothing to do with the real pattern of how you truly should measure age, which is your biological aging process. It's just really how well is your system aging. For example, I tell people this, you're always going to see this difference. And think back, everybody listening right now, when you go to your 20-year high school reunion, right? You're going to see people that are going to go, hey, Michele, my gosh, what happened to them? They look so old, right? Same class, but you're going to see people there and you're going to go, oh my goodness, they haven't aged a bit. Well, that's the difference between the biological aging process. Life can affect people differently, and we have to begin to do things that we'll talk about in a minute to elongate or bring about a healthier biological aging process, because we cannot change chronological age.
Well, in the clinic, we talk about the 7 pillars of health, and each one of those pillars is vital to improve this thing called biological age.
Yes.
And at the top of the list is that thing we call nutrition. As Hippocrates said, food is medicine, medicine is food, and let food be thy medicine. And where's the most important medical decision that you make every single day? It's at the end of your fork.
It's fork curls.
Fork
See that?
curls.
Fork curls. Yeah. Important nutrition is like people neglect the power of nutrition. It is number one. Hippocrates said it was number one. God said it was number one. It's number one. And it's not a number 1A. It's one all by itself.
So if we want this skin bag or this dirt suit to age in a better biological manner, we have to pay attention to what's at the end of our fork and make sure it's nutrient dense, good, clean, healthy food.
We do. And before we even go to number 2, I think people need to know this. We know the standard American diet kills.
It's sad.
It's sad.
Standard American
SAD,
diet
get
is
it?
sad.
But here's the thing. We have this saying that goes like this. You can't pill away You can't hormone away. You can't pray away. You can't exercise away. You can't supplement away the effects of a chronically chosen standard American diet intake. Can't do it. And so people are profiting off of America's naivety with that. And instead of like America getting healthy, America's becoming victims of these people, unscrupulous people that are saying, well, you take this pill for fat loss, or you take this drug for fat loss, or
The
this.
quick fix.
It's just not right, and it's ripping people off.
Well, it's just the quick fix. We have found through time that it doesn't work. We have
No.
to create behavioral change, do things differently, and make it long-lasting change so the body composition lasts.
It does. So nutrition's number one. Number two,
Exercise. We got to
Yeah.
move more, sit less. And we know in today's society, sitting is the new smoking. Boy, we sit, we don't get blood oxygen and nutrients to our tissues, so therefore we become toxic. We become posturally malaligned or dysfunctional.
Yep.
You know, chronic back pain, knee pain, neck pain, just from sitting because we're not circulating. And we've got to work on exercise.
people statistically are 5 times more likely to become sick with our common diseases if they do not exert regular exercise patterns. Crazy.
And studies have shown just 30 minutes a day can improve that thing called biological age. So it can turn back the hands of Father Time so you have more quality in your years than life.
All right. So nutrition, exercise.
Sleep.
Well, of course, we need 7 to 8 hours, don't we? So make it happen, right? Let's make that happen.
Well, if we don't get adequate sleep, we're not recovering, we're not waking up refreshed, we're not regenerating, we're not processing the things that happened the day before. So sleep is vital for longevity.
What's number 4?
Number 4 is going to be
Stress management.
Stress
right?
management.
Stress stresses me out. I don't like the panic, fast pace, all that mess that we live in America. I just repel from that. I don't want to be around it because stress creates chronic fear, which will create chronic, stress hormones, which will cause you to gain weight and miss your sleep. Right. So we've got to learn to manage stress. We need to do a whole segment on that sometime.
We do. So those 4 things, those are things that we actually
Yep.
have direct control over. Everybody has 1,440 minutes in a day that we can calendar and do something about. The other things are like the things that you don't necessarily have direct control over, but if you know about them, you can make the adequate changes. And one of those is DNA.
Yeah.
Deoxyribonucleic acid, you get 23 chromosomes from mom and 23 from dad. And if we understand our genes or genetics, those actionable genes, we can actually make good, substantial change in the correct direction and not have to succumb to heart disease or oxidative stress, which can lead to cancer, or methylation issues, which can lead to depression and anxiety.
Yeah. And then number 6 is going to be, hormones. We've got to think about that one. And then obviously 7, it's like the same kind of concept as peptides. The bottom line is those 7 things are things that we do and really analyze with every single person, don't we? Every single person goes through that process. And we have this overriding theme of emotional and spiritual health. We don't forget those, but those are our 7 pillars.
Yes, and each one is not just independent, they're all interdependent to create the best biological aging process.
That's right. And if you don't put attention to and you don't do something intentionally with all these processes as the interdependence works, we're missing like a spoke on a wheel. If we miss a spoke on a wheel, that wheel eventually will become more weak. So we need to really think about it, folks, and really put ourselves in a position to optimize our biological aging process. If you want to age gracefully like her, you need to reach out to us at Sherwood.tv or give us a call. What does our Constitution really mean? Find out next with our constitutional attorney expert, Chris Ann Hall.
Let's get real. Most emergency food is just as bad for you as any other choice in the standard American diet. And that's just sad.
We don't just need food. We need highly nutritional food.
We don't just want to survive food shortages. We are meant to thrive in adversity.
Complete your daily nutrition and have shelf-stable Kingdom Fuel as a cornerstone of your food supply.
Don't sacrifice your health or your taste buds.
Stock up on Kingdom Fuel now.
And when you navigate through these economies with people, here's what happens. We want to hold their hand through it, let them know when it's time to buy, sell, reallocate, get out of Dodge. Because a lot of times when you're struck with fear does two things. Number one, it can paralyze, and people just put their head in the sand and say, I'm just going to forget about it and hopefully it gets better. Or it causes you to make a wrong decision. And this is why we are here, is to help people navigate through the political quagmire nonsense that's going on, the economic malaise, and the absolute collapse that we're seeing. And when our freedoms are eroding, our political freedoms, our economic freedoms, our personal freedoms, our religious freedoms, our health freedoms, they're all tied together. But you know what doesn't need to erode with that? Our finances.
KirkElliottPhD.com/Sherwood.
We have a brand new documentary out called Non-Compliant to the Sheriff. Now, our first documentary, Non-Compliant, and our second documentary, Non-Compliant 2, are both available at noncompliantmovie.com. The first documentary is all about the duty and the role of the state to be a check and balance on the federal government, state and local government. So if you haven't seen that yet, let me please recommend that you go to noncompliantmovie.com and watch the first documentary, available to you at no cost. It is going to be life-changing, and we have hundreds of thousands of 5-star reviews and people all over the world sending us messages about how this message is so life-changing. And it's a global message because, really, it's about your inherent rights. It's about why government is designed for one purpose. The purpose is to secure your rights, and how our founders put together our governments in order to retain the power by the people to be a check and balance on government through state and local government. And from that, we were inspired to create Non-Compliant to the Sheriff. Now, I have been for nearly a decade, traveling around the country teaching sheriffs and deputies a 3-hour continuing education course, all about the role and the duty of the sheriff, the history of the sheriff's role and duty to secure our rights, not to violate them. We have a whole section on the First Amendment, the Second Amendment, the Fourth Amendment, what our sheriffs and their deputies need to know not to be sued. And then we have a section on the jurisdiction of the sheriff, which is so incredibly important. That jurisdiction of the sheriff is really the most powerful guard and protector of the rights of the people than any other institution our founders created here in these United States of America through our constitutional republic. And it's from that course that I had sheriffs telling me, this is inspirational. What you've taught us in these 3 hours is just simply life-changing. As a matter of fact, I've taught this at big conferences where I taught the sheriffs of 17 states all at one time. And I had sheriffs coming up to me immediately before I even got off the stage saying, I've been on the phone changing policies already based on what we learned from you. And we thought to ourselves, you know what? We need the people to know this information. We need the people to know this, number one, so that they can make sure the candidates they have for sheriff know the proper role and duty of the sheriff. So we can be sure to have constitutionally minded sheriffs. Number two, because if you have a constitutional sheriff, if the body of the people are not in support of that sheriff cannot be who they want to be and who they're required to be. And number three, it empowers sheriffs who already have that inclination. in a world that is full of propaganda like defund the police and all of our law enforcement is evil. You see it all over the news. You see wicked politicians propagating this stuff. We knew we had to create non-compliant to the sheriff to show people what's really happening at the level of the sheriff that the media will not show you. There are sheriffs all over America who are standing up in defiance of unconstitutional laws and orders and edicts, in defense of the property rights of the people, and they've been doing this for years. But the politicians and the media do not want you to know this. They do not want you to know what sheriffs are doing successfully, regularly, to stand for people's rights, because this is how government's supposed to really, really work. Now, what we do with non-compliant too is we take two real life situations, two events that actually happened. A pastor who refused to shut down his church over COVID, and a sheriff who arrested him for it. And a pastor who refused to shut down for COVID, and a sheriff who said, I'll go to jail to keep you open. And how this two incidents actually impacted and changed their states, and even all of these United States, all boiled down to what a sheriff would or would not do. This film is brand new, available at noncompliantmovie.com only right now. Pretty soon we're going to make it available on DVD, so maybe by the time you see this, it will be available on DVD at noncompliantmovie.com. But we're already getting messages about how this is life-changing. And to be honest, if you share this with your sheriff might be one who has watched this movie and come back to us and asked us to come and train their deputies. Noncompliantmovie.com. It will be life-changing.